Join us for interviews with solutionaries from around the world as we engage you, our viewers, in the exciting and adventurous journey toward a new world. A world that works for everyone. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the New Earth News Channel. So this is our rebirthing. Together we will rewrite our history. It shall become our decree. It is our story, the story yet to be told, the story we will tell. It's a story from every sector of society, from solutionaries with solutions from across the globe, of this transformative cocoon-like shift that mankind is moving through. As we continue to journey through the process and let go of the old, outdated methods, modes, perspectives, paradigms, and programs that continue to crumble from all around us, the simultaneous existence of two worlds has emerged. One is based in fear, shatteringly disconnected. We're not going to talk about that one. The other is based in love. It's profoundly connected, full of vibrancy and health, relearning and remembering to express the higher laws, balanced, moral, and true. It's a collective vision and the dawning of a new age, a world that works for all of humanity and the earth. This vision becomes clearer with each passing day. This is the journey forward, creating a bridge and discourse with examples of today's best and brightest, already being implemented solutions, helping you, our viewers, to piece together the puzzle for yourself, offering tools, tips, and actionable steps for you to take your rightful place, should you choose, in this new world, alongside the vast number of others already doing so. And that brings me to a very special guest today, a dear brother of mine, Tsunami Diamond. Welcome to the show, Tsunami. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing amazing. I feel like I'm doing better and better as each day goes on.
I love that. I love that. And I want to start really nice and broad. And okay. I just want to ask you, who are you?
Who am I? I am that I am. I feel like I like a diamond, I'm very multifaceted with a lot of interests in life because I'm someone that wants to have a full holistic picture, the broad scope of what's really going on here. So I've had interests in many different facets of society so I can understand what's really going on and how we can learn from what's going on now, learn from our past history so we can use that information to progress forward in the highest aligned way possible.
Beautiful, beautiful. So tell me how did you end up down this path or going in this direction?
Well, it's my short existence in this life thus far, I feel like I've already lived multiple lifetimes. A few careers back, I was a celebrity hairstylist, living in Los Angeles, flying back and forth between LA and New York and doing runway shows and music videos, was on a few TV shows and just kind of fully engulfed in, let's say, the Hollywood matrix and fashion and entertainment. And it allowed me to really get a clear view of behind the veil, let's say, of that industry. And I came to a point where I just had a feeling where my time was up in that career. I had more to offer the world than just making women look beautiful and styling hair and doing that kind of stuff. And I decided to retire from that career. I was going to go into music full time because I'm also a musician. At that time, I was working on an album, which I was getting ready to go do a European music tour. So I kind of left the hair career, was about to go into music full time, was getting ready to go do a whole European music tour with my album. And then the universe had different plans for me. And basically, I'm a father. I have one son, and at that time, my son's mom was going a bit downhill, quite a bit downhill in life, putting my son into some pretty dangerous and not cool situations, which led me to going to court to fight for my son and keep him safe. And that whole situation of court ended up taking 4 years until I was awarded sole custody of my son, and I've now had him over 5 years sole custody. So that kind of turning point led me to go into my second main career of my life, which was full-time into business, and ended up going deep diving into the business world and marketing, branding, advertising, co-founded a full-service digital agency, was the CEO of it for almost 5 years, where we were working with everything from startups to Fortune 500 companies, doing a lot of really next level things in regards to the agency world, offering lots of very future driven services at that time. A lot of stuff in AI, VR, cross-platform campaigns that did a lot of immersive activations for brands on a global scale. All sorts of cool stuff where I learned a lot, but I got to this place in my life where I started awakening more and more and more, especially around 2012, where I started going through some massive awakening periods of my life. And I was deep diving into a lot of esoteric metaphysical knowledge and learning, started getting into training under all sorts of different healing modalities. First was I became a Reiki master, but then started training under a lot of different other lineages and ended up getting initiated as a shaman. Started diving deep into quantum technologies for health and wellness, anti-aging, biohacking, things of that nature. And I more and more over time progressed, I started getting more of a distaste for the old world, the old way of business. And I just got to a point where I wanted to spend all of my time focused on helping the planet and helping people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah.
I have so you mentioned awakening, and I think in spiritual circles it's a pretty maybe vast word. So this is a two-parter. What does awakening mean from your perspective? And how can somebody who's kind of still in the matrix and still going through what you made your way through, how can they be open to that idea and actually take the signs as, you know what, I need to make a shift. I need to do something different.
Okay. Well, first, what is my thought on awakening? Us as the soul, when we choose to incarnate on this planet, we incarnate and forget, which allows us to have new experiences as if they were for the first time. Because if we haven't incarnated here many a times before and then we come remembering everything, it's not as exciting of an adventure, let's say. So we choose to forget, and we come down, and part of our path is to remember and to remember who we are, why we are, and what we're here for. I feel is one of the most important keys in life is to find your purpose, find your why, It's where you really can step into your full empowerment as an individual. And unfortunately, a lot of the old world systems that are installed on our planet are systems that are almost like putting us in a box where we have one perspective of reality, but a very small perspective of reality. So it's up to us to start discovering really a lot of the truths of our existence and who we are, why we are, what we are in the multi-dimensional reality that we exist in. And also in this time period we are in as humanity, in this cycle of time that we're in, which has been a very long awaited, long prophesized time that we've come to. We're in a period of what some might call the Great Awakening, a time where many people are starting to awaken to these truths. I feel the internet has a great part to play in that, because we're now finally at a time in history where people can do their own research and and start looking into data from all across history and ancient texts and books and cross-reference things and start diving into all these pieces that were always segregated. Before the times of the internet, what would we have to even know this stuff? Well, you would have newspapers where they would tell you what they want to tell you in those, or in old ancient times, they would have the clergies or the rulers or the popes or what have you that would tell the people the information, but they had to believe it. That was all they had. They were told that, and they couldn't find out anything other than that. Unless it's an individual that's tuned in and has awakened, because without the internet, we also all have access to the unified field of information, and we can get to a place where we can tune in and tap into that unified field and source out all the information in that way as well, through different tools and modalities, whether it's divining, whether it's tapping into the Akashic records, or all these different forms we have to really tap into our intuitive nature, and get answers without needing to look them up either.
Yeah. How do you, so again, for somebody who might be brand new to this, like how do you start listening to that inner voice? How do you like, give us just 2 steps that, you would coach somebody through to actually, just shut off the outside world and begin to find that inner knowing again?
Yeah. One of the most powerful ways is to learn to control the mind chatter. Unfortunately, we live in our modern day era, we live in a very busy, hectic world with lots of distractions and things and commercials and data that's coming into us that unless we do the work to be able to learn to get to the 0 point, what some might call, where we can silence the mind, where we can then open up into that unified field and get those intuitive messages, where we can go through the process of decalcifying our pineal gland, which with a lot of individuals has been heavily calcified through certain things that have been put into our society, such as fluoride, which is used very heavily throughout society, not just in water supplies, which I don't know why they would put fluoride in water, but they do, or heavily used within the dentistry field in both our toothpaste, or when you go to a dentist and they do a massive fluoride flush to pump tons of fluoride into your mouth, or there's other things that calcify our pineal gland. Our pineal gland, you could call the third eye, or you could also call the first eye, because it is truly our, let's say, the all-seeing eye of our body, to where we are able to see through the veil, meaning the veil between dimensions. Right now, a lot of people have been existing in the 3rd dimension, but we as beings are multi-dimensional beings. So, I guess the easiest way to explain that is we all come from source, a source point of creation. And when we leave the source, we descend down through dimensions into matter, into the 3rd dimension. And now in this period that we're in, which is something that not just Earth is going through, but other star systems have gone through in the past, we come to a point of human evolution where we've learned all the lessons that needed to be learned in a lower density, where there's great amount of polarity of light and dark and opposition, which can serve a purpose in many ways, to where you can learn and grow from these difficult experiences. But we come to a point, and this is where we came to as our species, when we reached the precession of the equinox back in 2012, with the ending of the Mayan calendar and these things, where in the past there was great cataclysms that took place on the planet, the last one being the Great Flood. That period would have happened again, which is where, I don't know if you remember back in 2012, where there was all this hysteria about, is the world going to end, right?
Mhm.
This is all based on time periods. And if you look back in large periods of time, great cataclysms happened on our planet over these periods of time at a certain changing of time periods that would have taken place if humanity did not reach a certain point of evolution. Evolution you can look at as a synonym for ascension.
I'm gonna steer you back. Just give me two steps that someone could take to actually, really embrace their inner knowing.
You know, connect with nature. Get outside every day. Get your bare feet on the ground. Go
Beautiful.
and sit with nature. One of the easiest solutions we have is just going and connecting with nature each day, grounding. That will help with the mind chatter. That will help keep you balanced.
Beautiful.
That's
beautiful.
Yeah, that and meditation.
So simple, right? It doesn't have to be. We've gotten so good at overcomplicating things.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have to be. It's super simple. Okay, I wanna. So you've mentioned your why a couple of times, and I want to ask you, why are you? Why are you?
Why am I?
Why are you?
I exist to assist in the ascension of humanity, to assist in building systems to support the whole. I exist to be a servant of humanity and help serve all in the greatest way I possibly can. And I exist to be love.
Amazing. And this is something I've been drilling down with the guests that have been on, and it's, so why do you do what you do, right? Because like me, it's like, and like many, I think we could take care of our own family, like our birth family, and for many people that's enough, and maybe it should be enough. So why do we feel called? Why do you feel called to, like, take care of the global family and set up these systems and do all this stuff, do all the things that you're doing?
Because it's what I've always done. And because I know what's going on. I've came back into remembrance and done a lot of study to know what's going on, and I've not only came to the realization, but came to the actual feeling of knowing we are all one. We're all interconnected, all part of one source creation. And so to just say, oh, I'm only going to take care of my family, or I'm only going to take care of my country, or to me, I'm only going to take care of my planet. Because me, I'm here for Earth and all the galaxies and all the multiverse. That's my mission. I want to help it all.
Oh, I love that, and it's interesting because that's what the other answers have come down to is we are one. And so if I'm hurting another, or not even necessarily hurting them, but just not taking care of them or not looking out for them, then ultimately that comes back to me in this vast pool of oneness. So why not uplift and support the all of it? So I love that. Beautiful. So okay, in terms of, because again, at the outset I mentioned this idea of the simultaneous emergence of these two worlds, right? And so we've got the old world and it's doing what it's doing, and then we've got this simultaneous emergence, this birth of this beautiful world that is it's one of connection, it's one of unification, it's one of love, of oneness, and that recognition of that oneness in each other and within each other. And so I want to ask what your experience now of life is, right? Not before, not what you went through, but of this new earth, the new world that you experience on a day-to-day basis.
Heaven on earth. I mean, even over the course of these last few years, which have been a bit wonky for the planet, um, it's been a magical time where I've experienced so much love and wonder and joy, and I mean, it doesn't even, I could be traveling and going and being at an event or being with people, but I could also just be with myself and be just as happy and content and feel the same thing, or as I'm walking through a forest, or as I'm home working on my computer on the mission. So it's a frequency is what it is. So we are all like a human radio, where we choose to tune in to a certain channel, a certain frequency of vibration. If you choose to tune in to, let's say, the mainstream propaganda, which is heavily fear-based, which has been ever rampant in these last few years, trying to put people in a very fearful state, it's going to cause you to feel a state of fear, which is very low vibration, which is very crippling to your body, which can cause then health problems just being in that vibrational state. Or you can choose to keep your frequency tuned into a higher vibrational wave of what you want to create, of what you want to see in the world, and that's what you will experience in your day-to-day life then.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so beautiful. And I wanted to draw that comparison, and I really want to have that focus with each guest, because I think there's still so many that are in that old frame of mind, and in that in their daily lives and their situations and their circumstances, and just don't, there's this feeling of stuckness. And, well, how do I change my focus? How do I get out of it? How do I change my experience of what this life has to offer? And I really think with what you're sharing, it will give people that perspective, and then again the tools to be able to say, okay, like, maybe I can't go from here to here all at once, but if I just change a little bit of my focus, if I just start meditation, if I just go outside and I can feel a little bit better, and I do that each day, then it's like more isn't better, but better is better, and better leads to more, right? And so to take those little steps in our lives, I think it's really, really important. And then your experience can be one of love, can be one of connection and wholeness and bliss and abundance, and all the things that we get to experience, on a daily basis. Because I agree with you, heaven is here now. And we must first cultivate it from within.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
And what you said with those little steps, that's the compound effect. So all it is about having a little bit of progress each day, a little bit of progress. But then eventually what happens is the compound effect kicks in. And instead of just seeing a little bit of growth, it's a skyrocket of growth very quickly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that's a perfect segue into, so what are you focused on? So we kind of break down, society into these sectors, if you will. So what sector are you focused on? And then, what is the project and or projects? Because I know you have a lot going on. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay. Which sector? All the sectors. I've been focused for the last 7 years now on taking a very holistic approach to building a new Earth, or what some might call a new Earth. And to me, that takes including all sectors and building essentially all new systems for humanity, whether that's health and wellness, whether that's living, working, financial systems, products and commerce, and you name it, across the board. I feel like pretty much, let's just say most or all of the systems that we've been accustomed to on the planet are not built in the best way to serve us in the highest good, and to serve the all versus serve a few.
For sure. Okay. So let's go into some of the nuances. Maybe aspects of the project that are the most exciting to you and the most alive in this moment?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the combination of the technology systems that we've been developing with Ascended and our Ascendia metaverse, which is a whole new Earth metaverse, XR metaverse system designed to be full cross-platform across all devices, VR, as well as augmented reality to have experiences laid over our real world, which is that technology is going to see a major boom next year as Apple's getting ready to launch their AR glasses and all these other big brands. But really, all of the technologies we're building, which are all built to create decentralized hubs where we can unify many pieces of the puzzle, because I feel like that's the biggest need. There's all these different groups of organizations and teams and amazing individuals around the world that have all these different solutions they've been working on for the planet, but a lot of them are working on these projects separate and siloed versus unified together, where we can combine our pieces of the puzzle, where we can unify resources and we can amplify the good we can all do together, right? Which is where I fell in love with blockchain technologies and DAO constructs a few years ago, and seeing how they are such a powerful tool to use for that, for unifying. And the metaverse I see as is the next evolution of the internet, and it needs to be used in the right way. We don't want to go in the path of Facebook Meta, where it's that future of the metaverse, but we need to use these technologies that are very powerful in the right way, which I like to call alchemy technologies. How do we combine consciousness and the laws of the universe together with technology so it assists us in the greatest good versus harming us and causing addictions to technologies and depression in younger generations and broken communication across platforms that are very broken of how you communicate with individuals, versus in the metaverse having virtual worlds where you come together like you would in the real world in a virtual space. And what we're doing with our metaverse is, versus building a bunch of just fictitious worlds, we're going to be building a lot of digital twins of physical real world locations, which brings me to my other most excited project we're working on, which is our physical Ascendias, which are eco-futuristic resorts and smart villages designed to showcase the future of living and bringing together the most powerful combination of technologies and permaculture and eco practices combined with future-driven technologies into very powerful locations that are designed to be high frequency, high vibrational locations that not only will heal you just being in these locations, but provide the space and the field of energy to create magic and to be in a field of energy where you're always in a flow state. Like, this is something I've experienced in my workspaces. Years ago, I started really bumping up the energy in my workspaces, bringing in scalar field technologies, rodent coils, running frequency in my space where it's like, boom, I can just be in a flow state instantaneously just because of my surroundings, right? Unfortunately, a lot of us, especially in modern day society, are living in dysresonant spaces. We're living in spaces that are filled with a lot of toxins and chemicals and the paints and the materials. I mean, hundreds of toxins are within our spaces. And then there are also spaces that are built in dysresonance, in boxes and squares, versus in harmonic resonant fields where structures were built in ancient times, where they were built with sacred geometry ratios, where the structures themselves are tuned to certain frequencies that create a certain feeling or vibration or resonance within them. So these are some of the things that we're going to be doing with our properties, amongst also the whole structure of our metaverse, our properties, all of our DAOs and everything like that. We're gamifying everything. We're adding a whole gamification layer on top of everything, which is the Ascended Game of Life, which is designed to teach people and incentivize people how to start up-leveling their life and the planet through getting rewarded for taking good care of your health, getting rewarded for going out and spending time in nature, getting rewarded for adding value to the system or for helping impact projects around the world. So just we're really focused on how do we make it as easy as possible for people and fun and experiential, where it can be not some boring learning of, hey, we want to tell you what the true existence is, but how can we create systems that are fun, entertaining, and can give you experiences that truly transform your life.
So good. So much depth there. Well, we'll have to bring you on. What's coming through right now is to actually bring you on and go more in depth into each one of the sectors, because I'd love to hear you talk about the DAO system, and how that's set up, the economy aspect, the virtual, and how that actually weaves into and plays into the physical locations, the gamification. Like there's so much here. So we'll definitely bring you back on. But I think for today, why don't we, if you were to choose a sector, right, and we'll bring it back to health and consciousness, regeneration, land and communities, rights and freedoms or law, and energy. Which sector would you choose? And give us 3 to 6 steps or tools that people could actually put in their toolkit to take the next step underneath this sector to, essentially be more aligned and come more into focus in their own lives into the new earth.
Well, I think the most important thing is health and consciousness to begin with. If someone's health and consciousness is not there, it's hard to go down the path of all the other things. First and foremost, unfortunately, a lot of people on the planet are suffering from trauma, are suffering from PTSD and all of these things, and depression. So I feel like getting our basic human needs at the very bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is first and foremost before we can then raise up to those next levels of our existence. In regards to that, there's many different ways where those things can be done, both whether that's going and doing somatic practices, working. Also, I'm an initiated shaman. We also have our foundation, the Lead Royalty Foundation, which is focused on helping people in those processes through very powerful medicines, which is the God molecule and the spirit molecule, 2 forms of DMT that are the only plant medicines that are androgynous in the body, other than cannabis, which we have our endocannabinoid system, and that plant plays very closely with our human genetics. But these 2 other molecules are other 2 building blocks of life that are very powerful, not only in healing trauma, but also in aligning someone back to their purpose, their why, and essentially almost like unplugging them from the matrix, because these medicines could make a non-believer or an atheist a believer almost instantaneously to really see what existence really is outside of a very small, narrow scope, because it's very, very powerful medicines that the experience is very short, 15 to 20 minutes. But it can truly shift someone's perspective on life, existence, who they are, almost instantaneously. So that's one of my focuses as far as helping in regards to health and wellness. Aside from us building all of our quantum healing centers and everything we're going to be building at our properties and connecting a whole interconnected network of them to provide access to these type of treatments for individuals, which I feel is very important versus the route that most people only have is the pharmaceutical route or old school therapy psychology route versus certain other modalities that can be far more effective. So that's one tool. It's not for everybody, but it is a powerful tool. Aside from that, what are you consuming? in all forms of consumption. What is the food you're consuming? Very important, because eating the wrong food can cause you more wonky thoughts in the mind, can cause you dis-ease of the body, and all of these things. So we want to consume as much light as we can, as much as we can from Gaia's garden, organic. And also non-consumption of food is really healthy and really good. Fasting is a very, very powerful tool to also help you not only with your physical body, but spiritually and consciously as well. That's why so many great spiritual masters throughout time went on long fasting periods and went out into nature for long periods of time while fasting, right? And aside from food consumption, what else are you consuming? Media-wise, music-wise, book-wise, all these things are very important. And if you can change what you're consuming, it will start changing many areas of your life, the thoughts you think and how you feel on a day-to-day basis.
I love that. I love that. It's really moving from a Newtonian, model of reality to a quantum, right? Like choosing what we're thinking about and focusing on, and really closing off and shutting off the senses in the outside world to really come back to that knowing within that we touched on at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I love it. Really, really good stuff. So Tsunami, anything else you want to share? Kind of anything that feels alive for you to be like, okay, you're here and want to go here, or you're new to this, or even if have been on the journey for a while, something that you'd love for people to know.
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody, have hope, because there's a lot of exciting things going on the planet that you're not probably going to be aware of, but you will start being aware of because of channels like this. But there is magical things, far more than the bad propaganda stories that we're getting only fed on mainstream media, where it's to put people, like I said before, into more states of fear. There is far more good news that's taking place each and every day that keeps ramping up, where there is amazing things being created to serve humanity in the greatest way, and so many heart-centered individuals standing up, stepping up to help lead the way. And we are truly at a very pivotal time in human history, where over the course of the next years, our existence is going to change quite rapidly in amazing ways. So I would just suggest our viewers to remain tuned into that, remain tuned in to the new earth that's being birthed, versus staying tuned into the old earth that is collapsing.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. So how can people find you, your project, Ascended? What channels are you on?
You can find us at ascended.life. You can check out our DAO at dao.ascended.life. You can find me on Instagram at Tsunami Ascended. And look forward to meeting each and every one of you, and creating alliances so we can keep doing this good work and helping humanity.
Aho. Lots of Ascended folks. So if you want to connect with Tsunami, we'll provide the links and all of that good stuff. And stay tuned as we continue to have on exciting solutionaries with solutions from around the world, from every sector, and sometimes all sectors all at once. So we'll see you next time. Cheers all. Peace. A new type of news. New Earth news.